Hey, math friends. So our learning target today is I can review Unit 7, which is on linear functions. So we're just getting ready for our unit test. First learning target says I can write an equation in slope-intercept form. Of course, that is the form of y equals mx plus b. In function notation, that's the same as f of x equals mx plus b. So a lot of that will be in the conversation of how we translate between those two today. First question says write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line with a slope of 2/3 and a y-intercept of -2. Doesn't say anything about function notation, so we don't have to write in function notation for this first question. You can if you want, but slope is given 2/3, y-intercept is -2, so the equation in slope-intercept form would be y equals 2/3 x minus 2, done. Now, if it did ask for function notation, we would say that that just translates to f of x equals 2/3 x minus 2. So final for both of those. It doesn't say specifically it has to be in function notation. Question 2, write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through the coordinate 0, 13. There's my b. It's the y value on the y-axis and has a slope of -2/5. So we have -2/5. We have a b of 13 because that was given to us. That was kind of a nice little gift that we got. Y equals -2/5 x plus 13. Now, if that were in function notation, it'd be y or f of x equals -2/5 x plus 13. So final, one of those in that box. All right. Number 3, write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that goes through the given points. All right. So find the slope. I'm going to stack those into a table. We're just doing y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Sometimes I'd like to organize into a table. You pick your method. Whatevs. Whatever you prefer is cool with me. Finding the slope then, we're going to subtract our y's and subtract our x's. 7 minus 9 is -2. And 3 minus -1 is 4. So this reduces to, so it's -2/4. Be careful, I kind of wrote it at a funny angle. Reduces to -1/2. Slope then would be -1/2. Y-intercept is not given here. So we got to go get it. So I'm going to erase this because of space. So y-intercept is unknown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these points, and it says which points do you want to use. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use 3, 7. This is x, this is y, and I'm going to solve it for b. So given this equation, y equals mx plus b, our goal is to find the b. It goes through one of those points, or it goes through both of those points, rather. So the y is 7, it says it right here. The slope I found was -1/2. I just had to erase it so I could have enough space to write. And the x value is given as 3. So 7 is equal to -3/2 plus b. Solving for b then, we are going to add 3/2, copy, paste. Sorry about my mess here. So the b value, oh boy, this is a mess. The b value is 7 plus 3/2. So that's 7 plus 3/2. So you can put that in your calculator if you want. Or you can think of this as 7 plus 1/2, which is 8.5 or 8.5. So we would say that the b value here is 8.5 or 8 1/2. I'm going to pause the video give you a chance to catch up, and I have to erase a bunch of things before we move on. So I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so hopefully you had enough time to work through that, but let's go backtrack kind of what we did. We found the slope. I used y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, and I got a slope of -1/2. And then I plugged it into the equation y equals mx plus b. I chose to use the first point given as my xy, but it doesn't matter. And what we could do right now is we could plug in for this one and verify. So let's do that. So 9 is equal to, the slope is -1/2. The x is -1 plus b. So we get 9 is equal to +1/2 plus b. and I'm out of room again. But if we were to subtract the 1/2, 9 minus 1/2 would indeed, 9 minus a half would definitely give me that 8.5, just the verify team there. So final then would be write an equation in slope intercept form is what you're asked to do. I was just verifying my answer there. We get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 8.5. Now, if it's in function notation, it just translates to this. So it's just basically the same process. We're just rewriting that y in function notation. Boom. Next problem. Write an equation in slope intercept form of the line shown. So we're going to need a slope. I'm going to use my rectangle method. You pick your method. Looking to be a positive slope because it's an increasing line, putting gas in tank, putting money in bank. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4. And a 1, 2. That's 2. So I'm getting a slope of 2. Verify. Rise. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Slope is 2. Y-intercept is unknown. We don't have a y-intercept here, so we're going to go get it. I'm going to erase over here so I have some space. So I choose one of these points. I'm going to choose data point 3, 1 because they're both positive, a little easier to work with. And I'm going to do some work to get that b. So we know the equation is in the form of y equals mx plus b. All right. And we know that we have a y of 1 because that's the coordinate I chose to use. You could choose to use the other one. An x of 3. So we're going to solve for b. So that's 1 equals 6 plus b. Solve for b. Solve for b. So we're going to subtract 6, copy, paste, copy, paste. So we believe that the b value is negative 5. So I believe that this b, I just found it, would be intersecting down at negative 5, 0, negative 5. Now you can confirm that with the other data point as well. You definitely can confirm that. So you could plug in this data point and confirm. So I'm going to do that. So is it true that negative 3 is equal to, my slope was 2, times, what's the x? 1 minus 5. Is that true? Is that a true statement when I use the other data point that was given of 1 for x, negative 3 for y? Is it true that the left side equals the right side? Check. So I know for sure that my y-intercept is correct. So final answer is this. We are asked to write an equation. I'm sorry about my work here. The stylus covers too much room for my screen. Y equals mx plus b. In this case, it's minus. And if it were written in function notation, it's just f of x equals that same amount, 2x minus 5. So that's our final answer. We were asked to write in slope-intercept form for the scenario when we don't have the y-intercept. Okay, cool. What about if we're pulling from a table, same game, right in y equals mx plus b form. Slope, so I'm going to subtract. It's nice when it's already in a table because we already have it set up. Bonus. And on the right-hand side, it's negative 3 minus negative 1. Check it out. Chop here is a negative 2. So my slope then would be negative 2 as I work down that table, assuming it's linear. It does say linear, actually. And then it does say the word function. Boy, did it say function in these assignments? Nope. Okay, so now it does say the word function, so I'm going to make sure I write in function form. All right, so what about the y-intercept? It would be the coordinate that's married to an x of 0, which happens to be given to us is 4, so we don't have to worry about going to find it. So we get y equals negative 2x plus 4, and it does say write the equation as a linear function this time, so f of x equals negative 2x plus 4. Final, in linear function form. There we have it. That one was easy peasy because they gave us the y-intercept right out of the gate there in that table. So yay! All right, cool. What about for vertical horizontal lines? Final. How do we get to that final? Well, these ones are a little goofy, but slope, undefined. Y-intercept, the place where the graph crosses the y-axis. Well, here's the y-axis. And where does the blue line hit the red line? It doesn't. So what pattern do we notice on this blue line. The only thing we notice on the blue line that the coordinates are -3, 0, -3, 1, -3, -1, and so on. What's true about all the x's on that line is that all the x's equal -3. So just write an equation of the line shown. Can't really do much in function notation. Did not mean to cross that off. It's actually my answer. I'm going to rewrite there. Ah! So we get x equals -3. Final. That is our equation. That is the only thing that we can say is true about this line. It has an undefined slope, but the only thing is true is that everywhere on that line, x equals -3. It never hits the y-axis or any of that, so can't really assess too much other than that. This problem here, if we say, what is our slope? Our slope is 0 because we don't have any growth or change happening. The y-intercept is happening right here at the coordinate 0, 4. So we're going to say is 4. So if we write in y equals mx plus b, and it doesn't say function, we would say that it would be y equals the slope is 0x plus the y-intercept is 4. So we end up with that this equals 0, so y equals 4. The truth of everything on this line is that everywhere on that line, the y value is equal to 4. Slope is 0, so it kind of knocks that slope out, but that is your final on that problem. Boom. All right, continuing on with the learning target in functions is the next target of called point slope form. So it's a different form that we use than y equals mx plus b. That's the form. I'm asked that you write your equation in that form. It looks funny as your answer, but I'm going to ask you specifically to do that. Let me see if I can get this. Looks like that slope moved on us a little bit, the graphic did. What about this text box? All right, guys. I'm going to rewrite that here. My slope moved on me a little bit. I'm going to say that the slope is -2/3. It's written right here, and it should have been negative. I'm pretty confident it should have been negative, but I can't get it to move, so we're going to roll with that. Here we go. Slope is -2/3. The b is unknown. The data point that it does go through is -2/7. It says to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Nope, it does not. It says in point slope form. I just said that actually before, so I misspoke. So we don't really need the b. There isn't a b in here. Yay. Okay. So what happens if we just have a point and the slope? We use point slope. So point slope says y minus the y coordinate. Notice I'm subtracting a negative there, equals the slope. And then x, here's the equation, minus the x coordinate. Now we're going to clean that up because this really means addition. So it's y plus 7 equals the slope x minus 2. You were asked to write the equation in slope or point slope. Come on, Bookman. Point slope form. So final answer. That is your equation in point slope form. Done. It looks funny because you feel like you haven't answered the question yet, but it's about just writing in the proper form. So make sure you're writing in the proper form. So next problem, write in point slope form. So we have, first we got to get the slope. So I'm going to make a table here and grab the slope, and then I'll pull it back to writing it in the correct form. So if we set up our table here, and we subtract down, subtract our y. So 4 minus -2 is +6. And -2 minus -5 is +3. You definitely can use a calculator on that if you're confused. Slope I'm getting is 2. I'm going to pause and make sure I feel okay with that. So that's +6 over +6 over, yeah, I feel okay with that. All right. So the positive slope of 2 is what we got. And we're asked to write in point slope form. Now, you only need one of these coordinates. It works for both. So you have two choices, and I'll write them both. choice number 1 is to take this first coordinate xy and plug it into that formula. So y minus 4 equals the slope times x minus -2 using this formula right here. I am going to make this addition because that is uncomfortable that we'd be subtracting a negative and not changing it. That's option 1 in blue. Option 2 will be in green. Y minus the other coordinate, -2, is equal to the slope times x minus -5. Again, super uncomfortable with those minus things, so let's addition. Final, either one of those is correct. So when I'm hand grading your test, I will have on my answer key both of those because they're both correct. So either one of those would be acceptable in point slope form. Next problem says write an equation in point slope form for the line given. So coming from a graph. So we're going to need the slope for sure, right? So we're going to grab that, drive it down, drive it up. So it's positive. We're going to rise up 1, 2, 3, 4, looking to be 4 units. We're going to run over 2, looking to be 2 units. I'm going to double check the slope of that is 2. Rise. Yep, loving it. Okay, now data points. You have 2 choices here for your data points. You have this one, which is located at right 2, up 1. Or you have this one, which is located at right 1, down 1, 2, 3. So right 1, down 3. So if we write in point slope form, you have 2 choices for your answers. Again, on my answer key, I will include both. So y minus the y coordinate and x minus the x coordinate for the top one. And then for the bottom one, y minus the y coordinate, watch your signs there, x minus the x coordinate. So we're going to chop that. So one of those answers would be, or both of those answers are correct. You just need to have one. All right, y'all, here we go. Next problem says to graph. Now this is given in point slope form. So what's the slope? There's my slope because that's the form. Go back to the top of the page where the form is listed if you get stuck. It's in that green highlight up on top. Write it down. So the slope would be -1/3. Okay, so slope is -1/3. All right. And we're going to find for our xy. When we say that, we want the opposite of the x and the opposite of the y. So the opposite of the x is 4. The opposite of the y is -2. So opposite of x, opposite of y for a coordinate. So here's how we do it. We plot the coordinate, right 1, 2, 3, 4, down 2, plot the coordinate, check, and then run your slope from there. So we're going to go down 1 over 3 to the right 3. However, we run out a graph there. So we could go down 1 over 3, but that's going to fall off my screen. So instead, I'm going to go up 1 over to the left 1, 2, 3. Up 1 over to the left 1, 2, 3. Up 1 over to the left 1, 2, 3. And there we have it. There is our graph of the equation given in point slope form. So again, your slope was given for free. To get your x, you go opposite of x, opposite of y, opposite of x, opposite of y. Plot the point and then run your slope like you've been doing. Okay. Next goal, learning target, is to rewrite equations. So the first 2 are solve for y's, and then the next one is solve for something other than y, which sometimes throws kids for a little loop. All right, here we go. Let's do it. So when we solve for y, we build house, build fence, clean yard, or hand method, cover your hand for the y. We're going to subtract 4, copy, paste. Be careful when you do that because on the right-hand side, those are unlike terms. We cannot merge those together. They're unlike terms. So we end up with 2y is equal to 6x minus 4. Isolating them, we're going to divide by 2, copy, paste, and paste. We divide by 2 everywhere to each of those terms on the right. Paste, paste. Talked about that in the videos as we were solving in that unit. So we have 3x minus 2, y equals 3x minus 2. It does not say function notation, so we'll just leave it as y equals mx plus b. Go ahead, pause video and rewind if you need help on any of that. Always reach out if you need help, because we got to be ready for this test. We're going to isolate the y here, so I'm going to grab that sign in front. Make sure we grab the sign in front. So we're going to move this 3x. What's the sign in the front of the 3x? Positive. So when we move it, we're going to subtract 3x, copy, paste, copy, paste. Now be careful on that right side. Those are unlike terms. So if I haven't used it, drag it down, and we get an mx plus b here on the right. Division by -6, copy, paste, copy, paste. So we end up with y equals, this becomes positive 1/2 x, because negative divided by negative is positive, and 3/6 is equal to 1/2. And then the last fraction here would be negative, because it's a negative when we divide that out. And 4 and 6 both have a common factor of 2. So I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2, giving me 2/3. So y equals 1/2 x minus 2/3. Final. All right, question 14. Oh boy, that's not going to work. I'm just going to rewrite it. So question 14. V equals L times W times H is what we're going to be asked to solve. And we're asked to solve for W. Solve for W. All right. It says solve for W. So I'm going to go ahead and build a house around W, or put my hand on W. And that means I have to get rid of everything else. This is all multiplication. So I'm going to divide by L and I'm going to divide by H. I can do that in one big chunk. It's a cool rule in math that you can do that. Divide by L and H at the same time. That's a 1 and that's a 1, and voila. W is alone in that one little step there where we grouped it together. So final answer that W is alone, and W is equal to V divided by L times H. By the way, this means L in math, lowercase l. If we did this for our lowercase l in math, you would think it means 1. So that's why math teachers write their L's, lowercase l's like that, FYI. Coolio. All right, y'all. Here we go. A line, we're going to try to do all 3 methods now for the learning target, all 3 of the methods in this unit. A line passes through the points -4, 1, and 4, 3. What is the slope of the line? Step 1. So I'm going to set it up in a table. And we're going to subtract. So when we do that, 1 minus 3 is -2, and -4 minus 4 is -8. Negative divided by negative is positive, and 2/8 reduces to 1/4. Divide top and bottom by 2. Cool. So now, point slope form, I can pick one of these data points. It's this form. You have a point and you have a slope. Pick one. So y minus 1 is equal to the slope times x minus -4. Now I'm not going to leave that negative thing there. So that's option 1. And that was using this coordinate right here. Option 2 will be written in green using this coordinate, would be y, I guess I'm writing in red, y minus 3 is equal to 1/4 x minus 4. Because remember, that means opposite of those. So either the blue box or the green box is good for the point slope equation. Slope-intercept form is our favorite form, y equals mx plus b. Lots of options there. One thing you can do is you could solve that equation to get it that was given. Or you can go find your b, which I tend to like to do. So I'm going to pick this coordinate here, -4, 1. So I know my slope that was given is what? 1/4. And I'm going to pick the data, that first data point that had I guess it doesn't have 2 positives. I'm going to take the second one instead, 4, 3. They're both positive. I like positives. All right. I'll get to this one in a minute. I'm just running out of space here. Okay, you guys. Here we go. Y equals mx plus b is what our goal is. I'm going to have to find that b because it's not given to me. This is my x, this is my y. I plug a 3 in for y. My slope is 1/4. I'm going to multiply it by 4. So I end up with 3 is equal to 1/4 of 4 is 1. And then we're going to subtract 1 to both sides, copy, paste. So we end up with that a b is equal to 2. So we were given this, or we found the slope in the first step. I chose one of the coordinates. I plugged them in for y and x. I solved for b, and I found b. So now I just need to rewrite the equation. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog barking in the background, but I'm in the middle of the video, so it's going to have to wait. So if we are going to write in slope-intercept form, here's my slope and here's my y-intercept that I just found. And you can rewind if you were wondering where I got that again. So that's 1/4 x. And I forgot what the b was now because I'm distracted by my dog. What was the b? What was the b? I gotta pause and figure it out again. Okay, I have it now. It's 2. So y equals mx plus b. Sorry, my dog is still barking. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that through the video, but slightly distracted. Okay, so that's slope-intercept form. Here's my m and here's my b. So we're doing the 3 different forms on this problem. All 3 different forms we learned in this unit, and you've learned throughout the year. So this is point slope, 2 options, a point and a slope. This is y equals mx plus b, called slope-intercept. And finally, the last type is called standard. And with standard, it's called ax plus by equals c. So c means constant, just the number without a variable. So that's what we're going to solve for here. So I'm going to solve it right out of here, solving for c. So I'm going to rewrite it. Y equals 1/4 x plus 2. This is probably the easiest one to solve, quite frankly. We're solving for c, the constant without a variable, so we just need to move this over. When we move that over, we subtract. I'm a little bit out of space, so I'm going to kind of skip that step of showing you that I'm subtracting, but subtract to the other side. So that becomes negative now, 1/4 x plus the y that was over there equals, and the only thing left on the right is 2, which is what our goal was, is that we were solving for the constant without a variable. So this final one in green highlight is in standard form. So those are the 3 forms in yellow, blue, and green that you need to know for this unit. All right. Real life situations now. Suppose you have $20 in your savings account. Ooh, that sounds like a what to you? A bee. I know the bee's 20. You save $5 each week. Ooh, that sounds like a slope. Write an equation in slope-intercept form that represents how much money after x weeks. We don't need this point then because it's just a y equals mx plus b. Doesn't say anything about functions either. So y equals $5 per week and $20 to start with. If we were writing in function notation, it would just simply be that. That's easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's just slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. All right. Now, question 17. Seriously, my dog is driving me crazy. Question 17. Your friend has some money in her savings account. Oh, is that right? That means the b is unknown. What is the b? How much does your friend have in the savings account? She will add $10 each week to her account. That's the slope, $10 per week. By week 19, she has $265. Oh, that's a data point. Week 19, $265. Your job is to figure out how much money she had when she started. How much when you started. Now you have every option of the learning target here because it doesn't say specifically which form to use. So you can use point slope, you can use slope intercept. I'm a super big fan of y equals mx plus b. It's my favorite, so I'm going to solve in y equals mx plus b and solve for b. But you definitely could use point slope and still get there by solving. So here we go. What do we know? We know x and a y is $265 for the y. That's dollars. We know the slope is $10 per week, and we're talking 19 weeks because that's what they say at week 19. And we're going to solve for B. Cool. So we go 265 plus, multiply that. I can handle in my head because we're multiplying by 10. And we're going to solve for, I forgot the equal sign here. My dog is driving me crazy. Equals. And trust me, I don't want to yell in the video for her to be quiet, please. So what is the beginning amount that your friend started with? We're solving for B. So we're going to subtract 190, copy, paste, copy, paste. Trying to isolate for the beginning amount in the account at when your friend started, which would be, we believe, $75. $75 in the account. Now you can verify. I'm going to actually pause and make sure I have that. All right. So your answer, final answer says, write your answer in a complete sentence. The question that was given was, how much money did she start with in her savings? So that has to be in a complete sentence. She started with, oh, this is going to be great with this pen. She started with $75. That's the best I can do right now. But you could say, you know, my friend started with $75 in her savings account. If I had a better pen to write with and more space. So that's how we undo a real world problem and find the beginning amount. Yeah? Cool. This is our last problem of the day, guys, because guess what? I see the answer key down below. That means we are coming to an end of this lesson. That is so exciting. All right. Can I move this down slightly, perhaps? Okay. Your friend adds the same amount of money to his savings each week. That means the slope is unknown. We don't know the slope because that would be the same amount, right? At week 5, your friend has $166. So at week 5, your friend has $166, and we don't know the B either. I'm going to just cross it off right there because I don't have it. And at week 12, your friend has $320. All right. How much does he have at week 20? So one thing I'm going to need for sure in every problem in this course in linear algebra is the slope. So I'm going to start with the slope. This is kind of already set up as a table, you guys. I'm going to use it. So we subtract here, subtract and subtract 166 minus 320, getting that slope. 166 minus 320. Ah! Shouldn't have done that. Now my dog's going to start barking again. The slope then, the change in the y's is negative 154. And then the same thing in the change in the x's is negative 7. Negative divided by negative is positive. Ooh, and the slope is 22. That means $22 each week. Ah, that's so exciting. So when they said your friend earns the same amount of money in his savings each week, we just found how much. That doesn't answer the question that's in this problem. All right. So here we go. Your friend earns $22 each week. We still don't know the y-intercept. And our job is to figure out how much money he has at week 20. Okay? So we can do a couple things. We can go find the y-intercept and then evaluate what happens at week 20. So I think I'm actually going to do that. So I'm going to go y equals mx plus b. Here she goes again. I'm going to pick this data point. So this is my y and this is my x. So 320 is equal to the slope, $22 for 12 weeks. What's the beginning amount? We're going to try to figure out that beginning amount. So we get 320 is equal to 264 plus b. And so when you subtract the 264, we get b equals, I'm out of room there, so it's a little bit crammed in. I'm getting that the starting amount in the account was $56, which will be helpful for me to answer that final question. So the work I just did here, the only intention of that work was to get the B, how much money was in the account at the beginning, because that helps us answer. So I'm going to erase my work here just because of space. And let's go figure out the final question of the day, which is How much money does he have at week 20? Okay, so we know that Y stands for the amount of money. We know that the slope is $22 per week that he adds to his savings each week, and we know that he started with $56. So at week 20, that means 20 weeks have gone by. So the X is 20. How much money at week, this is a 20, not a 10. At week 20, will your friend have? How much money? So we have 22 times 20 plus 56. So when we put that in, $22 for 20 weeks plus the 56 your friend started with, I'm getting that your friend would have $496. So I would, in a complete sentence, I would say, and I'm having trouble writing, but your friend would have $496 at, this is why I'm not writing, you guys, at week 20. So your friend would have $496 at week 20 is kind of the best I can do for my complete sentence there. So it's really a data point, right? Okay. So that is our video for today on Unit 7, linear functions, and the three forms, slope-intercept form, point-slope form, and standard form. And they work together. They all overlap with each other. Have a glorious night. Make sure you're ready for that test.